So hi everybody, I'm Julie Voudray and this is my wonderful daughter, Danielle. Her favorite. Gosh, she keeps making beautiful grandbabies for me. So this is Selah.
Say hi. Hi, this is my web debut.
Yeah. Well, earlier today I did a Skype interview. As you can tell, I've got some lights here, and with daytime, with the virus constrictions there, or restrictions I should say, doing interviews for TV from my home. And I just thought you would like to see the setup, and this would kind of be my blog post, just kind of giving you an idea of all the tips I shared on daytime today. So, all right. So Danielle, the thing I was telling folks today was how to repurpose. Of course, you got a growing family.
Yes.
And you understand that saving money is always important, and especially with all that's going along right now, a lot of folks are looking for ways to kind of keep an eye on the budget. And one of the things I have found is just trying to be really frugal with all the things that I have. And so bananas is one example. You know, they're beautiful when you bring them home.
Yes.
Until a few days later when they're not. So, of course, you and I know you gotta have
really ripe bananas to make good banana bread. Otherwise, you're gonna make your banana bread, take a bite, and be really disappointed because
there's a sweetness. They're actually sweeter. A riper banana is sweeter than one that isn't. So you honestly want this kind of banana, or even darker.
And it has more nutrients when it's darker.
So so that's what you want for banana bread. Another thing that I have found to do, if I get a bunch of bananas and they all go kind of at once, and I can't use them up all at one time, is I put them in chunks and I just put them in a freezer bag like that. And then if you have a smoothie, it's a wonderful thing to put in a smoothie. Really great, gives a good texture, and it's cold and sweet.
Brian actually does that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing I like to do is to make what I call banana ice cream. You take several chunks of this, I put it in a food processor, along with, if you want to put, like, I put some dark sweet cherries with this one, and just puree it in a food processor with a little bit of cream. You can put a little sweetener in there. I like to put stevia. And it makes this wonderful treat, which is actually very delicious.
You can probably do it with almond milk too.
You could, if you want to go dairy-free, you can do it different ways and just kind of put it how you want. But that's a wonderful thing to do with that. Other produce we get, vegetables, we'll go to the vegetable side. You know, you bring your veggies home. In a few days, though, they can get kind of floppy and not so fresh and amazing. But instead of throwing them out, just repurpose them. You can chop them up, do a rough chop. Doesn't have to be fancy. Put them in like a skillet, or like, well, actually a Dutch oven is kind of what I used, casserole thing, and saute them with a little bit of olive oil. I like to then add some chicken broth for more flavor. You could do water as well, and simmer those until they're fork tender, and you end up with something that's like this. And then you just get an immersion blender. And it doesn't take very long at all. You've created this wonderful puree, which is so delicious. It makes a wonderful base for any kind of soup, any kind of veggie soup that you want to do. And you can, you know, add more broth if you don't want it as thick as this. It's also a great way to sneak vegetables in to the family. Because they don't see the vegetables, but they have this wonderful flavor. So that's a great thing to do.
One thing I'll do sometimes to add on to that is, if I have a lot of extra veggies, like you said, or they've gone limp, is you can also put these in ice cube trays, and without adding the chicken broth, just leave it as the veggie puree and put it in ice cube trays, and then pop them out, put them in a bag, and then you have little, I call them nutrient bombs, that you can just put into different things or soups. So that's another good use.
Yeah, that's a great way.
With that.
Absolutely. Now, another thing I've done, kind of in that same idea, as far as soups and that sort of thing, is making sure when I use chicken that I'm really using all of it. I like to buy a whole chicken a lot of times and just bake or roast or crock pot an entire chicken. And then we eat off of that chicken. But once you've done that, you still have some leftovers. So you got all these bones and pieces, maybe things that weren't people's favorites. You would be absolutely shocked if you go through there and pick off all the meat, how much meat there still is. And that you can put in a soup. You can do other dishes like chicken and rice, where you just make your favorite rice, add the chicken in there. I like to cook it with chicken broth when I do that. I do another dish with noodles, where I do like a gravy kind of thing, and put the leftover chicken. The thing I love about those dishes, it doesn't matter how much chicken you have. You don't have to have a whole lot, or you can have a whole lot, but either way you can make it work. And that's just a way to squeeze another couple of meals out of one whole chicken.
I know we always looked forward growing up to when you did the egg noodles and the
Right.
chicken and like a gravy mixture all together. It was
Right.
really good,
Yeah.
especially on a cool day.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great thing to do. So those are ideas there. The other idea is with bread. A lot of times you buy bread, you know, a big loaf of this, maybe you don't eat it right away, or maybe somebody left it out and they forgot to cover it up, and it gets kind of stale.
Probably a man.
Probably a man. Or a busy mom who's like, you know, I need to sleep now.
Or a child.
French toast, of course, is a classic thing to do with bread that's stale. In fact, the name for French toast in French means lost bread, because it's bread that normally you would throw away, but you repurpose it to make something delicious. So that's a great thing. You can do a bread pudding, which is a great dessert also with old bread. I made some croutons, which I don't know if you can hear how crunchy these are. But I just cut up some of the old French bread I had. I sprayed a little bit of cooking spray on there, put some little bit of herbs and salt, put it in the toaster, and within a very short period of time, I had these wonderful croutons, which you could put on a soup. You know, if you've made a soup, you can do that, or put it on a salad or whatever. One little idea I have, which isn't exactly a money saver, but I just thought about it with all the soups. I have found this time saver, which are these wonderful quick cook grains. I don't know if you've tried those.
Yes.
They come in all kinds. This one here has 5 grains together. There's pearl barley and farro and lentils and all these things.
Really good.
But what's great, and it's good for you, it takes only about 10 minutes to cook. So what I'll do is I'll start with a soup like that. I'll put some of this in. Within 10 minutes, that part's cooked. So then you have a wonderful grain and some whole grains. You've got the vegetables. You got a little bit of chicken. If you put some of that in, you got a full meal with just kind of leftovers things that you had around. So any other good tips you have, Danielle, for saving money and time in the kitchen?
I will say, like you were talking about with the chicken, it's definitely, I have found more worthwhile to buy the whole chicken, cook the whole chicken, and then use pieces of that in different meals. It saves a lot of money versus just buying chicken breasts or the tenderloins or thighs.
Right.
For sure.
And the broth that comes off of a whole chicken is so delicious and wonderful. That's one thing. I had already used it when I made this chicken the other day. I took all the broth out, and that's what I cooked my couscous in, was the broth. Or you can make the gravy with it or whatever.
And if you cook it in an instant pot, which is always how I do my whole chicken, with that pressure and the time you do it in there, the broth you get is actually a bone broth.
There you go.
So it gives you a lot of extra nutrients you wouldn't actually normally get.
So there's really a lot of ways to save time and money. I think part of it is just being creative and just being aware, what do I have and what can I make, how can I make the most of it. So hope you enjoyed this little blog post, and hope I'll see you on Daytime soon. Thank you, Danielle, and thank you, Selah, for joining us. We appreciate it.
For having us.